You're here on day 3 of the Global Poker League, another slew of great heads-up matches, and we're opening with a brilliant one, Olivier Busquet against Darren Elias.
Yeah, the action doesn't slow down here at the GPL. Amazing lineups today, matched by the lineups amazing lineups yesterday and matched by the lineups we've got today. Olivier Busquet, Darren Elias, two of the bosses of the poker world. Olivier Busquet has an incredible pedigree, also a specialization in heads-up sit-and-goes. And I think very, very savvy pick from Maria Ho. If he can convey some strategy to the other players in the LA Sunset, that's going to give them a great advantage, considering how many points can be won in these heads-up formats.
Yeah, I think there's few players in the world going into a heads-up match against Darren Elias that would ever be favored. And because of Liv B's experience playing online, he's obviously a huge threat heads-up, up there with the caliber of the likes of a guy like Daniel Jungleman Cates. I think this structure is actually going to even play to Olivier's strengths more so than someone like Jungleman, given the fact that he has an incredible pedigree with all the sit-and-go success on sites like PokerStars, and these two guys are obviously no slouches live either. Over $10 million between them in scores.
Yeah, and I think there'll also be a lot of people tuning in specifically to see Darren Elias, particularly fans of the WPT. Darren Elias's records in tournaments are absolutely phenomenal, both live and online. I know that when I play online against him, I've literally never won a pot. He just comes in, he turns up the scoops and the big events online, comes in and absolutely crushes, putting together results seemingly year after year.
Yeah, he's always been one of my favorite players to watch, and I remember remarking a few years ago that I thought he was the best player in the world that hadn't won a World Poker Tour. And then what does he do? He goes and wins 2 in a row, and that's just a testament to how talented this guy is. And we're going to be picking up the action pretty soon here between the two of them as they're all set. And let's get things started. And there they are on the webcam, two very, very handsome individuals. Rocking a nice beard there is Olivier Busquet, all trimmed up. And these guys are just such geniuses of the game. And hopefully they'll be able to give us some analysis and do most of the work for us in this match.
Well, Olivier Busquet actually does have some pedigree as a commentator as well.
Yeah, he's done some great coverage for the World Poker Tour over in their Alpha 8. They have it set up right now so that they can hear each other, but I'm sure that's something that we will have changed and maybe saved for at the end of the match.
It wouldn't be a day at the GPL if we didn't have a few technical problems, would it?
Absolutely. Yeah, as you said, the teething process in this format for sure. Olivier Busquet, just for those of you unfamiliar, outside of, obviously he's commentating and all his poker success, as you can see, he has that cut on his nose. He's training right now for a massive MMA fight against the likes of
JC Alvarado.
JC Alvarado, that's correct. And Olivier has done some really, really insightful and interesting interviews that you should really check out on some popular podcasts, talking about the process of getting that match together, becoming interested in doing that, and again, seeing some battle wounds from that training process. And the guy is just absolutely jacked up, going full Captain America for this match.
Yeah, really interesting that given what a huge task Olivier Busquet's taken on, putting his body on the line physically in order to train for an MMA match, it shows his passion for the game that he also wanted to sign up and be involved in the GPL.
Absolutely, and Darren Elias, like I've mentioned a few times before, one of my favorite players in my top 5, so just an unbelievable player to watch. I can't wait to get inside of his head here and see how he plays. Interesting lead there by Darren Elias. Do you think that obviously he thought he had the best hand? Do you think that's an interesting lead there?
Well, I think when Busquet checks back in position, now the range advantage switches to Elias, and he's going to be able to bet reasonably wide for value, given that texture favours Busquet, and we can expect him to see bet it a lot.
Pretty good flop here for both hands. A lot of action-packed turn cards, and that's certainly one of them. Darren Elias deciding to take the free card there, and unfortunately missing. And I imagine he's going to be able to get away from this hand, given the river being a king.
Yeah, I mean, the 9 also means that a lot of gut shots that Busquet would check call the flop with have now made a pair, reduces the number of bluffs Olivier has going into this river.
Should expect a 3-bet here from Darren Elias. An interesting remark there by Liv B saying, "What are these with these people and their small bets?" And I think that's sort of a reaction to the fact that a lot of tournament players are used to betting a lot smaller in spots. Putting less risk out there because you win so much with the antes and stuff like that, but
I just got on my nose.
Not necessarily
like
a strategy.
My face is a fucking magnet for knees.
You see heads up a lot.
3 knees to the face in the last few months. Now I'm going to have a star that goes here, and then a scar that comes down, too. It's really great.
It's a good nickname, Scar. Nice little Lion King reference. Maybe that would be what I like Captain America, though, with how Jackie looks. What do you think? And representing the LA Sunset, of course, and being a native of the U.S. I'm going with Captain America. Nice board texture here for some action.
I
really don't know how Darren plays these spots.
Darren's going to bet pretty sizably for value, given the number of draws that have missed. Probably not good for Olivier that he's got a queen in his hand.
Yeah.
Obviously, Olivier, given how much time he's spending in training for MMA, taking blows to the face, a bit less pressure, for most players, this GPL is going to be the most scrutiny they're going to be under all year, but a lot of people will be tuning in to watch that MMA fight. Olivier and JC Alvarado really putting themselves on the line with such a lot of money behind this match in terms of bets by themselves and other poker players, and the huge scrutiny they're going to be under. Very brave from those two guys.
Yeah, I think that Olivier Busquet is a great player for the GPL, a great personality, someone that has a lot of opinions and is happy to voice them, and he's just a really, really interesting character, and I'm really excited to see what goes down in that match. They've both been training obviously very, very hard for that MMA fight.
Yeah, strong Twitter game, Olivier Busquet. He really puts himself out there. Darren Elias, in terms of his personality, flies a little bit under the radar. Lets his achievements do the talking, yeah?
Yeah, he's a guy that, actions speak louder than words when it comes to his poker success. Not the type that's going to be bragging a lot, but definitely someone who is aware of how talented he is and what he can accomplish when he decides to hit the felt. Not really a mainstay in like the super high rollers or anything like that, which might be a little surprising given how good he is at tournament poker, but just absolutely crushes the 5, 10K buy-in events, 25K buy-in events, and someone who is always making a splash during the tournament series on Poker Stars like Scoop and W Coop.
Yeah, avoid him. You
Yeah.
don't want him really at your
No.
table during a W Coop. Yeah, I know from experience.
Pretty action-packed flop here for Olivier Busquet and Darren Elias, 10-9-4
or anything like that,
with the 2 diamonds,
which
a
might be a
backdoor
little
flush draw, and a
surprising
straight
given
draw
how
for
good
Olivier
he
with
is
1 over, and the top pair for Darren Elias. So we're definitely going to probably see at least a call here from Olivier.
Yeah, for those of you guys less familiar with this kind of level of poker, I mean, in fact, that's most of us because, it's very rare you get to see top players like this exposing their hole cards to the general public. The thing we should point out is in these kind of matches, it's not just about, making top pair. If you, with such weak hands, heads up, oftentimes you're not going to have strong holdings. You can't just be folding the flop every time you miss it. If you've got equity, you need to continue.
This is going to be a really interesting river. Obviously, Olivier with just the queen high, knowing that Darren won't have an ace a huge percentage of the time, given the fact that he checked back the turn, and it's really going to create a difficult spot for Darren because a 1 draw did get there, the 7-8, but there's a ton of other mixed draws. We're talking about Jack 8, Queen Jack, King Jack, those kind of hands. So definitely a consideration here.
It's like he might overestimate the number of hands I bluff. Well, a 10, yeah, okay. A 10 is going to call. This kid's good, man. I like the way he played that hand.
little tip of the cap there from Captain America to Darren Elias, letting him know that that he's obviously a really talented player, and giving him respect in a format that he's one of the top minds in the game. Really, when you think of heads-up poker, you think of guys like Junkman, and you think of guys like Olivier Busquet.
Yeah, for sure. Darren Elias, obviously an incredible poker skill set. That's going to cross over into this heads-up format. What we're merely pointing out is that Busquet, this was a specialism for him when he began his career. He's done more of the theory work on heads-up sit and goes, you would imagine, than almost anyone else on the planet.
Small pot there for Olivier Busquet.
About that.
Remarking about
4 and 800 already, huh? Okay.
Olivier quickly learning how fast these matches do end up going with the 4-minute levels, but that's just a par for the course for these three matches. If we made the structure any slower, these things would be going all night, considering how good these players are battling it out. Most matches we find have been ending at around the 8:16, 1,000, 2,000 level, so that's an average game time of probably maybe about 25, 30 minutes.
Yeah, with Jungle Man Elke, we could have taken it if it had gone all night, though, couldn't we?
Yeah, I think so. I would have taken it all night with Timothy Adams and Jonathan Bonomo. That came out wrong, but I certainly enjoyed watching them play.
Have you played much with either of these guys in the tournament setting?
I've been at the same table with Olivier Busquet a couple times. We've never really tangled in some hands. He's someone who's obviously I try to shy away from. Darren Elias, he terrifies me, and that avatar that he's had for all those years, I don't even think it's changed. Who is it? It's like Jay-Z or something. When I see that avatar on the table, I just get piss scared, to be perfectly honest with you. He's someone who is just absolutely an incredible poker talent, and as I mentioned earlier, someone who's in my top 5, and actually all 5 of my top player picks are in the Global Poker League, and I'll be revealing them slowly as
I was about to
say,
all 20 of the players in your top 5 are very flattered to.
No, I have a pretty strict top 5. They include Darren Elias, Tony Gregg, Fedor Holtz, Mustafa Kanit, Vanessa Selps, all in the Global Poker League. Those are my top 5. You have to get a list eventually.
Right.
And
I'll work on that.
Yeah.
When we finally get a day off, I'll have time to compose.
Yeah, we're almost there, buddy. Pretty thin value bet here from Darren Elias. He obviously thinks he has the best hand, so he's betting that for value. And that just goes to show, how thinly these guys.
Spot maybe I should have raised, but.
Very interesting analysis there from.
I don't have any of the relevant cards, I don't know what Darren's proclivity is to calling in spots like that.
So this is something hopefully.
Sometimes it doesn't really make sense that you're repping anything, so people think they must call, or people are like, he's not going to bluff in a spot where he's not repping anything, so he must not be bluffing,
Really interesting analysis
Levels to this shit.
Yeah, this is one of the things I'm interested to see as Olivier gives us a bit of insight into his thought process. There you can see he uses certain cards in his hand to control his frequencies. Even though he might think something's a good spot, a more theory-based player is going to decide whether to bluff or not based on his actual holding. They're not containing any of the blockers to the bigger straights.
We're seeing the tendency in these early levels, obviously, no limping whatsoever until around maybe the 1,200 or 1,600 big blind level, and that's pretty par for the course with these talented players. They want to have the lead and the aggressive action. When the blinds are very, very deep, because they have the flexibility to call re-raises and stuff like that. But as the stacks get more and more shallow, you'll see a lot more limping, especially someone who's experienced at heads up like Olivier Busquet and Darren Elias.
Interesting that Darren went to the Sao Paulo Metropolitans. Do you know if he has I heard he perhaps has a connection to Brazil. Maybe he spent some time there.
Yeah, I believe I heard that I think his girlfriend might live in Brazil or something of that nature. I'm not entirely sure, so don't quote me on that. But yeah, obviously there's a part of him that is connected to Brazil. So it wasn't a complete just grabbing an American guy by Andre Akari. Like I said, I think he had one of the savviest drafts, and And interesting also to note that he's decided to take to use his heavy hitters in the early going here in the Global Poker League. Byron Kaverman in that second six max format, on day one, and Darren Elias to face off against Olivier Busquet. Again, the managers are choosing who they throw into the pits, the fighting pits early on here, and interesting to go with the heavy hitters. Whereas we look at some of the other teams, deciding to maybe, like the Rome Emperors, for instance, who are holding back on their big draft picks, like the #1 overall pick, who we have still not yet seen and won't see in the first week of the Global Poker League, Mustafa Lezanyem Kanit.
So you're really going to, like, give up here? It's going to be interesting.
Really, really tough spot to bluff for Darren here, and he's recognizing that right away. Repping very, very thin, trying to get, ace highs and king highs to fold the flop, and then once he gets called again on the turn, he knows that, Olivier probably isn't going anywhere with an 8 or a relatively strong, maybe ace high. What do you think? You think Darren's going to go for it here and try to rep super thin? Super hard to make a pair, let alone a full house, and definitely a tough spot here for Darren. Do you think the only bet that can really win is an all-in shove here?
I don't think he's going to jam. I think the thing is the range of advantages with Darren. He's got just as many threes as Olivier. He's got just as many eights, and he's got those overpairs.
Blowing his hands there, I love that. It's just like he's warming up to do something a little crazy. But it's definitely a spot where nobody would blame him for being a little gun shy. And this mental gymnastics is great to watch. Discipline check back.
Interesting. I'm a little confused by that play.
Yeah, and a bit of a sigh there from Darren. I think that he felt that maybe he misplayed that hand. It's one of those things, if you want to go for that,
it's like one of those things where and he thinks I have some high card hands, some ace high hands that he can fold out on the turn, but it's like, why are you picking Jack 4 of spades? I don't know why that's a good hand to choose, but
yeah, and maybe reflecting on some
what do I know?
Very small technical heads-up leaks that Darren Elias might have.
Normally pick at least a hand that had 2 cards over the 8.
His most successful discipline is multi-table tournaments, so interesting for him to reflect on that there. Obviously, Darren Elias is going to be an incredibly strong heads-up player, but remarking that it might be a small mistake.
Yeah, one of the things I'm interested to see in the GPL, and one of the things for the more hardcore poker fans, is the difference between more theory-based online players who've done...
this hopefully could get interesting. Okay.
This is going to get interesting, so I'll just
This
pause.
is a board people tend to bet so small on, and I tend to bet so much bigger on. Oh, that's a good card.
Wow, this is really going to spell disaster for Darren
It's
Elias.
Like such a ridiculous card, It's like makes so many potential bluffs here, and I just have the absolute nutted hand. It's kind of a sick spot.
Took the words right out of my mouth.
I think he's going to go for a big bet here. Yeah. Absolutely in a coffin, Darren Elias.
Like, I wouldn't even be surprised if he does anything. I mean, there's so many different hands that I could have here.
Yeah, and sometimes Darren Elias turns more
he
equity.
Picks up some equity.
Yeah, and would maybe check shove the turn here.
Okay, well.
Great river card for Darren Elias to get away from his hand. I think this is going to save him in this first match here. I think he probably really considers calling a shove on a lot of river cards. What do you think, Sam?
Yeah, the reason Griffin said...
I always just go for it here,
Yeah,
it's like a card he theoretically has such a tough time calling on.
Pretty strange he bets so much on the flop. He gets reduced, he bets 3,500. And then 9,000.
Yeah, the reason Griffin says this is a card where Darren Elias might get away from his hand is because Queen Jack, Queen 10, Jack 10, a lot of those hands that Olivier was bluffing with on the turn have now made a pair.
Yeah, and that
even though the Jack is a bad card from my barreling range, that it's still, this bet size really polarizes my hand strength, that I wouldn't take a hand like Queen Jack or Jack 10 and make this type of bet with it. I probably would, to be honest, but he might not think that I would. So he might not. He might think, oh, either he like has 2 pair plus, or he's bluffing. You know, 6-7, 6-5, hearts. Maybe hand like ace-4, ace-5, or 4-5. All right, well, yeah, it's just such a tough call. Like, he's so hard for him to have a hand that can call. But you got to include big hands there.
Yeah, not a lot of bluff combinations, obviously, there for Olivier Busquet, especially if Darren Elias thinks that he will shove as weak as 10 Jack, Queen Jack for value. But there's certainly some heart combinations. Something like Ace 4 of Hearts, Ace 5 of Hearts, any heart combo really, which is going to blast a turn. We're talking about King 7, King 6 of Hearts. Really interesting hand.
Yeah, and nice again that the guys are giving us a little insight into their thought process. Olivier talking us through both his thought process and what he expects his opponent to be doing in this spot.
Olivier with the sounds of the value bet clicking. Again, very big value bet sizings from Olivier. And it's shown the bad news of Darren Elias. Not a great start for him.
5 king. Solid. All right, how many blinds does this guy have? Okay.
About 16 big blinds for Darren Elias here. And now we see the limping game being established.
So sick, Olivier. He checks back Jack high there as well. So interesting.
Good runouts.
Interesting hand for Darren Elias here to limp, the 6-deuce offsuit. He wants to establish that he can have a really, really wide limping range early on here, now that he's short stacked. So didn't want to fold that first button with only having 15 big blinds. Really great to watch these two juggernauts of American tournament poker in Darren Elias and Olivier Busquet. If you're just joining us, guys, this is Global Poker League Day 3 action. This is the first match of 3 between these two opponents. Darren Elias, of course, from the Sao Paulo Metropolitans, and Liv B from the Sunset.
Olivier Busquet, if you're just joining us, in a commanding position, made a set of 9s against Darren Elias.
It's 8 and 16, huh?
2 big streets of value. Okay. And Darren Elias is going to have to make a Justin Bonomo-esque comeback to win this match.
Interesting to see Olivier remarking about the big
like
blinds.
I don't know against this guy.
Because we talked about how he's going to have really perfect ranges here.
King high against queen high. Olivier Busquet looking to find a queen or a jack.
Oh, the space between the flop and the turn is so long. And the river, Jesus. Just put it out there. God.
Oh, breaking his heart. 5 seconds between each turn and river
time
card
to,
there.
Hit something,
King 3.
All right, so where are we at? Okay.
That was a great exchange.
This is great.
Can't question Liv. He knows his spots better than I do, I would think.
He is Captain America, after all.
What does he have? Queen 8.
Min-raise fold.
He's not going to get his wish here. We're going to see a shove or a min-raise call from Darren Elias, probably leaning more towards that, or of course a limp call. He is trapping in this holding. We are going to see an all-in.
Uh-oh. Whoa. Snap call with King Jack. What do you think my range is there? What crazy.
Darren Elias is going to need a king or a jack. Otherwise, Olivier Busquet will take the first match between these two.
All right.
Big first win there for the heads-up legend in Olivier Busquet. 1-0 and getting 3 points on the board for the LA Sunset. Hey guys, welcome back. I'm Griffin Benger. This is Sam Grafton, and that was some advanced heads-up poker.
Yeah, super exciting. Two great players. A lot of intensity. I mean, even though Darren Elias wasn't talking that much, we got a sense of the competitive nature of this man and how where that kind of the engine for that success on the WPT Tour has come from. Olivier Busquet, a bit more talkative, giving us insight into his theoretical background in heads up, which I'm sure everyone at home really appreciated.
Yeah, and something that I really enjoyed from this match, and similar to kind of what we saw in the Jungleman match, maybe not as sort of over the top as Daniel was just, you know, not shying away from critiquing the other player's game. You know, obviously these are two players that have a great deal of respect for each other. They know how talented they both are, but still remarking on some spots where maybe they would have played differently. We saw Darren Elias make a rare comment where he said King 3A, like kind of like questioning that call, but then of course remarking that, you know, he knows he's probably going to know his ranges a little bit better. And then of course Olivier, when he was outplayed, he recognized it and he said that I really liked the way he played that hand. That was a good hand. But then other times, you know, he wasn't crazy about the limp call. I think at the end there with King Jack that didn't go Darren Elias's way. Personally, I thought it was fine. But again, what do I know when it comes to a guy like, you know, Olivier Busquet?
Yeah, what do you know?
I mean, not much about heads-up poker. I'm just flying at the seat of my pants here, buddy.
Yeah, this is obviously one of the things that's we're going to see develop throughout the GPL is players coming from an online background who have a more game theory-based approach. And Darren Elias, who's had most of his success in these big field tournaments, playing more against live pros and recreational players, they're going to have a different give a different weight to tournament life, construct their ranges in different ways. Olivier Busquet obviously commented early on about the bet sizings employed by a number of poker pros, and that's going to be something it's going to be interesting to track across the course of the GPL, seeing who has more success in these formats, whether it's the more online-based players or those live bosses who've got huge tournament scores.
Yeah, and we've only seen one sweep in the heads-up matches. That was between Randy Liu yesterday and Sergey Lebedov. So it'd be interesting to see. You know, I don't think anyone would be surprised if Liv B swept anyone in the heads-up format, even a talent as big as Darren Elias. We're going to head to the lounge here in between these matches, but we'll be back with some great poker action here at the Global Poker League. I'll throw it to you, Laura.
Thank you very much, Sam and Griffin on the desk. Well, Maria Ho is going to be a very, very happy manager with that LA Sunset, picking up the first 3 points there for the Heads Up Eurasian Conference.
I think the first 3 points are critical in any match. I think if Busquet lands those 3 points, things calm down a bit, and he might be very dangerous in the next 2 matches as well. One thing we should not forget, though, Darren Elias does have a lot of experience heads up as well. Round of 32 at the WSOP Heads Up Championship just a few years back, and his first ever tournament victory was a heads up tournament, so he does have that experience. Busquet, as recently as this year at the World Series in the 10K Heads Up Championship, made the round of 32, the event that Charles Keith Lear won over Paul Volpe, if I remember correctly. So both players do have a heads up experience, and it should be fun to see that second match.
Everyone was fearful of Busquet, I think. Everyone in the league to play him heads up just because he is renowned. That's his thing.
That's right. It's his thing. And he's, as the guys mentioned at the desk, he's actually created this, some game theory when it comes to heads up play. He's almost written the book on how to play heads up online. So a very dangerous player. We saw him just comment on how things were going. He was surprised by a few of Darren Elias's moves, which is a good thing for Elias, right? So he's not readable completely. So it'll be interesting to see what adjustments both players make. But definitely Busquet, hired gun by Maria Ho. The exact reason she picked him is for these types of matchups. I was thinking earlier, just Laura, the 3v3 format, should the LA Sunset make the playoffs and be in the cube and play in a 3v3 format, which we'll explain to you further as the league goes along. We still have a lot of poker left before then. But I mean, the person that's going to have to face Olivier Busquet in that cube, it's going to be a ton of pressure for that person. And if Maria Ho can have that selection advantage at that moment, she could actually make it's almost like playing chess at that time.
Do you think Darren Elias could have done much different in that game?
I don't think so. It was a little, very much ABC poker. I think there's one move that he might have doubted himself, but it was actually the right thing to do. He folded at the right moment, but I think he did doubt himself that hand. So it's going to be interesting to see if that hand shows up before we restart game 2, as we are on a 10-minute delay, to make sure the players obviously can't see the whole cards live. Those asking on Twitch, that's the exact reason why, if we are live on the moment, that the players could see their opponents' cards, and we could not. So the only other option is to not show the whole cards, and that's obviously part of the fun.
LA Sunset in need of that 3 points, in fact, because they didn't do so well on Tuesday for the 6 max.
It was a little bit of a tough stretch by the Sunset, but I mean, things are still, the season's still very young.
We're week 1.
But you're right. I mean, those 3 points, Maria's going to be very happy with those 3 points. I think Olivier is going to be extremely happy. And as I mentioned earlier, I really do fear that this could be Olivier waking up and actually gunning for those 9 points now that he has 3, now that he knows that if he wins one of the next 2 matches, that's great. But if he wins both of them, that's an even bigger bonus. And suddenly it looks like the Sao Paulo Mets, who are sitting on only 4 points still as of yet, they could be in danger at this moment.
I have to say though, Sao Paulo Mets have the best fan, because the other night, Neymar Jr. got on Twitter and sent a video saying he was supporting the Sao Paulo Mets.
It's a pretty big brag when he talks about Andre Akari. He talks about wildcard pick Felipe Mojave Ramos. Great. I mean, great. We all know that Neymar loves his football and he loves his soccer, so that's also great.
And speaking of tweets,
poker,
we've got a
I should say
few
poker.
tweets. We've got a few tweets. Let's see what we've got. Oh, this was last night, in fact. Steve Warburton. Hi, Steve. I know Steve. Really entertaining heads-up match with Timothy Adams and Justin Bonomo. Beautiful how GPL format has made watching a player in the tank gripping.
We saw this again in this match, Laura. We saw Darren Elias tanking and really thinking the hand through. But what's amazing about this one was that then Busquet was actually commenting on what he thought that his opponent was thinking. So even more to the layers that Bonomo, but the Bonomo hand yesterday, if you have not seen it, it is available on globalpokerleague.com. Full 4-minute tank and really taking us through
Into
the
his
inside of his
mind.
brain.
Yeah.
It was pretty amazing hand.
Yeah, really, really awesome. Because people get so annoyed, don't they, in live poker?
That's right.
It's like, hurry up, make a
That's
decision.
right, very different here.
And we've got this from Chris Moneymaker, obviously the manager of the Moneymakers. Can't wait to watch teammate Anzino play on webcam. For people that don't know him, he has an amazing personality.
I do think most of the poker world knows who the Ant-Man is, who Mr. Zeno is. He did promise me that the Anthony Zeno show is coming later on tonight, so let's hope for some good stuff from
what's coming up
Mr.
on the
Zeno.
Anzino show? I'm excited.
It'll be fun.
Right, we're going to head back to our commentary desk now, because that second match between Olivier Busquet and Darren Elias is coming up very shortly.
Thanks for that coverage, guys. I'm Griffin Benger. This is Sam Grafton. You're here on day 3 of the Global Poker League, and a really great first match between Olivier Busquet and Darren Elias.
Yeah, really exciting stuff. 2 contrasting styles, 2 bosses of the game. I'm sure that was a real treat for poker fans at home. Darren Elias, let's be honest, how often did he actually have a hand he could value bet? How often did he actually make a top pair, a strong flush or anything like that? And when you're playing against someone of the caliber, Olivier Busquet, you're going to need to make hands.
Yeah, and I think it's an indication of how small these edges are between these 2 juggernaut players in Olivier Busquet and Darren Elias. So let's just get the cards in the air and see if Darren Elias can get some points on the board for the Sao Paulo Mets.
I think at this point, Darren's seen that I pretty much just made the better hand every single time. So my guess is that he's hasn't wavered any in his confidence. He's always come off as a pretty confident guy. Rightfully so.
Darren Elias flopping
Hopefully
the
I
nuts
just,
and
continue
improving
to
on the
make
turn.
better.
Yeah, it's amazing how sometimes you make the best possible hand, your hand can actually improve, but he's not going to get a bite here from Olivier.
He hasn't really probed a lot of turns.
And now he's made a flush.
Which means bet the turn after you raise and check back the flop. I don't know what that means, if it means anything. It's not like it's been a lot of hands.
Pretty unfortunate here for Darren Elias. And now if Olivier decides to... Oh, no, he did. I thought he ended up checking here.
See
But
if there's a king. Oh, well. Okay. Okay. It's a pretty good hand all the way through.
Another 2 very playable hands here early on. Again, talking about that card distribution thing that we talked about a lot on day 1. Sometimes, there's going to be a lull in the action when we don't get a lot of strong holdings, but sometimes it'll be fast-paced, and so far, some really interesting hands so far. So far.
Yeah, not much Darren Elias can do here.
Very disciplined check back here on the ace 7-5. He does have 2 overs to the 5 and the 7, and obviously doesn't think Olivier has too many aces in his range, but because he doesn't have any back doors and he can improve so much on the turn, decides to check back and gets away from it.
What does he know?
He's the best, buddy, or he had 4 high.
So we saw one of the star players of the LA Sunset in action on day one, Fedor Holtz. He didn't manage to accumulate too many points for LA Sunset, but Busquet is going to set that right today.
Interesting reflection there by Liv B, saying that he's not used to playing heads up with antes, and that difference in the strategy is actually going to probably be an edge for Darren Elias, for someone who, whenever he's playing heads up, most of the time there will be antes because it's heads up for a lot of money in an MTT tournament.
Interesting.
Always interesting when they both have the same hand, and especially when someone can still improve.
Okay. Now I guess it's a call. I mean, it's a pretty good hand that I have. I'm checking this line. I don't know if he's the type of guy to like have a ton of bluffs here, but maybe he'll just check. Maybe he just has like a queen. Oh, cool. You're just free rolling.
And they're signing at the same time,
I
too.
wonder if he'll have some giveaways of his hand strength with his bet sizing. Nah, Darren seems too good for that. Have a worse hand, buddy. Really?
Darren Elias trying to, obviously turning this
God,
relatively
so
strong
curious.
king high into a bluff here, trying to get a 3 or a 4 and something like that to fold, or something like ace jack.
Yeah, he's actually targeting almost specifically the hand that Olivier has.
Man. So curious.
Curiosity killed the cap. Or did it? Ace jack high good.
Wow. How good. Wow.
300, 600, something like that.
Of course, this is one of the things, when you sign up for the GPL, it all seems like good fun on draft day, but what you actually, what you're actually signing up to do is play against the best in the world.
Yeah, and really for people to see, not only your strengths, but sometimes your weaknesses. And I think we saw a little bit of that yesterday in the match between Elke and Jungleman. Obviously, Elke, a huge pedigree in poker, so much tournament success, but, not that familiar, at least against an opponent like Jungleman, really just showed how good someone can be at heads-up poker, and that's really what separates the men from the boys.
That should hit me a bunch.
Don't think I can block that one.
Yeah, check. Good. Sweet.
Darren,
There's so many different ways to run good, It's like I get a card that like naturally freezes him so I don't have to make a tough decision.
yeah, Darren and Olivier both aware there that when Olivier checks back the flop, he's going to have a lot of 6x in his range, and it makes it harder for Darren to fire a big bet on that river.
Olivier opting to make his first no equity pre-flop hand 3-bet with the Jack 4 offsuit, and Darren Elias pretty quick fold there with the 7-8 off.
Interesting, Olivier seems to be 3-betting way less than, say, another good player like Justin Bonomo yesterday, who was making a lot of linear 3-bets.
Just fold.
Looks like Darren's probably going to do what Olivier asks here.
Some calls are just... It's like nothing you can really even barrel on. No equity spots, right, Griff? It's nice to win the first game, to get that pressure off. So much pressure. wonder if Darren is talking. My guess is not too much.
Ding, 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 ding,
It's
ding.
weird to talk without having feedback or interaction.
Yeah, Darren's quite like this at the table, I would imagine, as well. I haven't actually ever played with him in a live setting, but not a big talker, Darren Elias. Is that correct, Griff?
Yeah, I mean, he's definitely someone that's very understated. Obviously a really intelligent thinker, but someone it's hard to really get a reaction out of him. I had a lot of conversations with him, and I really have dominated the talking. But he's someone that when you get anything from, it's really nice, especially when he's a smile. Got a great smile, Darren Elias.
Yeah,
doesn't see it a lot, but
the only time I just see Darren Elias is occasionally pictures pop up on my newsfeed of him holding a trophy,
yeah,
sitting in
exactly.
front of a pile of money.
Yeah. I don't know why I feel like this week. Do I really want to like waste chips here? King's not even a very good blocker. I just really feel like this is weak though.
Wow. Olivier Busquet reading souls through the monitor.
Ugh, so tempted.
do it, Liv. Impress us.
Yeah, I'm gonna think better of it.
So close.
Just discipline. Just discipline. If I had an ace there, I'm pretty sure I would have gone for it, but he's playing kind of tight, but I just felt weak right there. 4 and 8.
I think he wants to play as low variance as possible. Play single raise pots, just grind me out. So we might have to raise the variance a little bit for him.
Yeah, great strategy there, I think, for Darren.
He's
Fantastic.
3-bet once.
And this is the whole thing
Actually,
about
just like flopping top pair. My third ace rag, it just flops an ace.
Yeah, great adjustment. Darren Elias.
That's a weird card.
Decent card.
It's a good one. Wow. Okay.
not a very envying position to be in for the set to be Andre Akari and the Sao Paulo
Could have
Mets.
3-bet this hand, but it's too close to the last one.
Trying
I
to
think.
figure out who to throw into the ring with, arguably the best heads-up tournament player in the world.
Yeah, interesting there that Darren spoke about not 3-betting this combo because it's too close to the last time he did it. Again, a bit of a differentiation between the field player and the theory-based player. They're taking into account what you refer to as game flow rather than just determining it based on a distribution of cards.
Nice run out here for Darren, deciding to check this river,
Go
maybe
for
opening it up. Yeah, great check back by Olivier.
You got it, buddy. Man, losing pots is awful. Let's not do that. Oh yeah.
Not my flop.
Well, we might have had to go for that one.
Interesting to see these guys 2.5xing at the 400, 800 level.
Let me just improve on the turn so I don't have to face a turn
I
bet.
feel like at the 1K level, a lot of these guys have been making it, min raise or just 2.2, but still 2.5x when they're about, 120
We
big
have
blinds
to
to
get
play.
some value from floats and check it. Gonna get 3 streets with too many hands.
Huh. Yeah, I think this is a call here.
Wow.
Even though he's probably not bluffing that much. It's just like one
Great-
of the best
great,
hands that I have here to check.
Great check on the turn here from Darren
You always
Elias.
go back and forth with that. Top of my range,
A lot
his
of
bluffing
kings.
frequency is low.
Yeah, okay.
How do you reconcile those two things? Just call. just call. I just pay off. He's just gonna have like I don't know if he like whoa. I don't know if he like checks a hand like king. If he checks a hand like king jack on the flop, if he just has a hand like a7 here. Yeah. He's not tried so many. Whatever. Just call. Yeah. Okay. I just really don't like that turn check, but yeah, I don't know. It's like obvious, but still.
Yeah, that graphic in the top corner of your screen isn't correct. I presume that's something our producers have thrown in to show who won the last match. It's absolutely incorrect. Olivier Busquet is one match ahead here.
Yeah, I guess.
This is one of the reasons it was exciting to see Olivier drafted in the GPL. He's not someone who is afraid to give his opinions about the conduct of other pros, the decision-making of other pros. He's showing that with a little bit of criticism about Darren Elias' play.
Yeah, you know what was interesting about that particular hand, though, was that obviously, you know, Olivier Busquet has played so many heads-up hands and heads-up matches that he just already decided that he was going to make a call there. But what's interesting, what it does to the game flow when he calls so quickly, because he'd already made that decision, makes it look like he's just doesn't believe Darren Elias and he's going to be calling down super light because of how quickly he did it. Obviously, you know, third pair, a fairly big bet, you know, betting like 8 big blinds there. But the fact that he snapped it off, maybe that inclines to Darren that that he's, you know, being a bit of a calling station. Some players are more deliberate with their thought process, but some people can just do it so quickly, and I think that's what happened there with Olivier. You know, it was obviously a very close spot, but he decided, you know what, I'm going to call in this spot. Things have been going really well for me, and I don't really, you know, think that his line makes sense.
It's a good card.
Very good card here for Olivier Busquet, making a flush on the river. Going to be a really tough spot for Darren.
Here.
Be pretty strange if he bombs here. Yeah. 8-9, I guess. 8-9. Random jack.
It's so much more likely for him to have an 8 than for me, you know?
We were to check back a flush draw and then bomb.
Is he really gonna check a hand like 10-8 or something? Maybe he has like a decent king. He's just in a bad spot now. Or even a hand like 10-jack. I think an 8 has to pay off here for sure. I think a king does too, to be honest. I just happen to be making it like every hand.
King, I guess. Could be king X. X, 8-9.
Interesting to see Darren not putting a lot of flushes in Olivier Busquet's range, because he obviously thinks that a lot of Olivier's combos, flush combos, are going to include, you know, straight draws or pairs that would two-barrel the turn. So it's hard to put him on this particular hand because it has no equity other than the flush.
You check back the flop, I think.
Oh, really?
Sure.
Okay.
It might be 8-9. Sucks.
And so he bet the turn, which is why Darren was remarking that he could have 8-9. But that's you're absolutely right. That's another way that his flush is very disguised.
Be interested to see whether Olivier comments that.
Before he hits the deck.
Yeah, we said beforehand, so important when players are evenly matched, two great players at it, making strong hands. And there, Olivier Busquet ran out favourably. He would have been left with 4 high on the river. Instead, he has a flush, and it's Darren Elias who faces the real tough decision.
Yeah, and it's really a testament to, you know, disguising the strength of your potential hand sometimes, not just about the strength of your actual hand. In that particular instance, you know, he did have a flush draw. Most players are going to continuation bet, especially when they're just playing heads up with a flush draw. Olivier deciding to check it back because he recognizes that that's also a board texture where, you know, Darren's going to continue a lot, and he'd rather disguise the potential strength of his hand, because obviously making a flush heads up is absolutely massive.
And here we get another instance of that. Darren with ace high and a gut shot. He's not going to be able to fold this flop. Olivier Busquet flopping the strong top pair. Here you're noticing, similar to the way Justin Bonomo and Tim Adams played yesterday, Olivier Busquet employing these larger bet sizes, something that a lot of the top players do, as opposed to the more, like what we see day in, day out in the MTTs online with a kind of more small ball strategy. Olivier Busquet
This might be transparent, actually, but
picking some big sizings.
really it's just a function of what my actual hand I have.
Nice little smile there from Olivier Busquet. Obviously, everything going right for him so far for him in the LA Sunset.
Everything coming up, Busquet.
Everything coming up, Cap, buddy. Captain America.
I'm hoping you're going to drop that for next week.
No way. I'm gonna run with it.
All right.
I'll maybe even convince him to shave, and then dude. I mean, the guy's got a cut on his nose. He's fighting for truth and justice in the American way.
Pretty much any action, unless it comes like King of Hearts, 10 of Hearts, or something. It's a good card. If he has a better hand, man, good for him, you know? Did he check? Oh, now I'm not sure what to do. I just bet call. Seems like the right play.
Again, another situation, we talked about it beforehand, about how important it is to make hands, hand over hand. Olivier Busquet with the top pair, Darren Elias, yet again coming up with the second pair.
All right, we'll see a river.
Whoa.
Do you think that's a card that's going to freeze the action here, or do you think that Olivier is going to imagine he check shoves a lot of hard combos on the turn?
I don't think he's worried about Darren having a heart flush draw.
8 of Hearts.
It's just whether he can call with worse.
Right.
Hearts. Like, does he really have a
Not
better
many
hand?
combos we beat when he was all in here. We need him to check to win.
My inclination is to just check. I don't see this guy really just calling off. I mean, if he's got 2 queens, he might. I think this is a check. I don't know, man. I'd probably jam like in a normal game, but the dynamics seem a little different here. Oh, God, I'm such a fish.
Interesting, he checks.
It's just so obvious. He doesn't have a better hand than me. Just fucking go all in.
So
What does he have?
Elias-
With the antes, this is clearly
down to 12 big blinds, up against it again for the second match. Remember, Olivier Busquet, if you're just joining us, has already won 1 match here against Darren Elias, and he's in pole position to close out second.
Yeah, and I think the trend that we're seeing in these heads-up matches is that the edges are obviously a bit bigger than say in the 6-max format, because you're playing against the same guy over and over and over, but really just small edges. And as far as just card distribution, I think Darren Elias has gotten pretty unlucky so far in this 1.5 matches. That hand in particular, King Jack suited against Ace 5 suited, getting the Ace Jack flop.
This might be a jam. I don't really know. Yeah, whatever.
And again, now that the blinds are up at the 8-16 level, we're going to see a lot of limping from both these opponents. Sometimes with no equity hands, sometimes with monsters, sometimes with middling hands. Really, so many different ways you can play heads-up poker.
Yeah, Darren Elias is going to have to run a little good now in the all-in portion of the game to get back into this.
Yeah, and even though obviously Olivier Busquet's ranges are very perfected in this short bit stack poker, it's very evident that he prefers to play deeper stacked against Darren, because obviously Darren's push fold ranges are going to be perfect in these spots too. So this is really going to be about kind of who's running better when it gets this shallow.
Let's see who does run better. Darren Elias is going to need a king or 4.
Or backdoor clubs.
Fade.
And a big, sick river for him, hitting that 4. Just the momentum that he needed. Vamos! Vamos, vamos!
I'm really happy for Darren Elias. He's not run too hot in these first 2 matches. He deserves that, and now he's back in it.
Yeah, and obviously the Brazilian fans loving that Vamo from the American, representing Sao Paulo, and really a nice turnaround there with that big river. I'm sure that the whole country was celebrating, including Neymar.
These stacks are tough against someone like Liv. He probably knows all these spots better than anyone in the world. He's sub 20 big blind, heads up, lay him shove. He's probably playing almost perfectly, so pretty tough spot.
And not many tough spots in Darren Elias' life. This is definitely not something that he's used to. So it's nice to see him being humbled a little bit by the fact that, like, wow, this is one of the first times I'm ever at a poker table, and I'm not the best one here.
I think
in
it's
the format,
and
obviously.
also just. I mean, I don't want to hype the GPL too much, but I've got to say it's
That's
great.
That's actually
it's
our
great.
job, by the way. That's why we're here.
Is it?
Yeah, no, we're even though we're commentators, we're hired by the GPL. That's what we're supposed to do.
Whatever. But what I would say is it's credit to these guys. You know, Darren Elias, obviously financially comfortable at the top of the game, that they would put themselves forward, sign up for the GPL to step into the Lion's Den and play against other top competitors. There's no need for them to expose themselves like that, and it's testament to their competitive nature.
It's very exposing for sure. I mean, just think about. Sorry, there's some chatter going on here between the two of them.
Are we really supposed to hype the GPL?
Yeah.
Like
Oh no, it's like the memo of the first thing.
It's pretty brutal.
I know, right? Such sellout.
I can hype Jake Cody.
This
Does that
sellout
help?
jacket you're wearing.
I can hype Jake Cody. Does that help?
Yeah, definitely. You should do that. Interesting board here, guys. Now a double gutter for Liv B. Interesting check back by Darren Elias. I think a lot of people would normally bet. Now he's facing an overbet. A lot of this is what we saw. A lot of people learned about the overbet, the power of the turn overbet by Justin Bonomo yesterday. He's definitely played the best heads-up matches of anyone so far in 2 days of heads-up matches. Oh!
Yeah, I'm just running so good.
Absolutely
Jesus.
brutal river.
So we didn't have 10 and 8.
Oh dear, Darren.
Ding, 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 ding.
Oh my god. Come on.
Amazing that he knows the exact kind of combo that he would overbet the turn with, and just unbelievably unlucky there for Darren Elias. Probably not a fan of the software early on, the way that he's been running on it so far.
Yeah, I mean, this is the brutal nature of poker.
But still very much in it, even at the 1K, 2K level. I mean, anything can happen. We saw that in the Elke and Daniel Cates matchup in particular. Now that the blinds are this level, this is going to play to Darren Elias' strengths for sure, simply because Liv B is just so good deep stack heads up.
So no.
If only Darren knew.
Fold it, man. Okay.
Not Darren's flop.
This is a great card for Darren on the turn. Probably going to get him out of jail.
We might see a check call here still from Olivier Busquet, but probably not. He does have one over to the 10, but again, it's just a very weak kind of gutter. Nice no equity bluff there by Darren Elias.
Yes. Well, maybe I should limp here. Yeah.
If he limps, is it his intention
He's
to
cool.
call for
Yeah,
the 10
he's
big blinds?
calling,
That's
yeah.
what I thought, yeah.
Yeah, either way.
Trap me. Queen 10.
Okay, well,
Big flop for Darren Elias, and this is going to come close to leveling things. Oh no, mate. I
Diamond.
don't want to speak too soon.
Jesus Christ.
Heartbreak for
Wow.
Darren Elias.
Really brutal run out there for Darren Elias. Olivier Busquet does take the second match, 6 points for LA Sunset. And you've got a feel for Darren Elias running really bad there in that heads-up contest against one of the world's best.
Yeah, Olivier Busquet obviously getting lucky for that 40,000 chip pot at the end there to take the second match. And you know what's really interesting to see is that Darren Elias is someone that's usually so stoic, don't really see a lot of reactions from him, even when he gets bad beat or loses a big flip deep in a tournament. But you'll notice how his reaction there was of disgust. It's like, oh damn, I got a bad beat. Not necessarily because he lost, but because he's losing, for the city of Sao Paulo, for the country of Brazil, and for his teammates. And, unlucky because obviously he's played really well so far in the first two matches.
Yeah, I mean, a great contest again. I'm really enjoying these heads-up matches, and we hope you guys tuning in are as well. Olivier Busquet putting on a show there for us guys, showing what the top level heads-up poker players are capable of. Seems so confident in every spot, knows his ranges in this situation so well. Darren even said it himself that Olivier Busquet at sub-20 big blinds might be one of the best players heads-up in the world. And, it was a real treat to have insight into his thought process and to be able to see the cards he's playing.
Yeah, I don't think anyone would have wanted this match for the Sao Paulo Mets. It's probably just that, hot potato match where it's just like, no, you do it, you do it, you do it. And Darren was finally like, give me the torch, I'll take on Cap. But again, Olivier Busquet, just such a high-level, high-class player when it comes to heads-up. And, it came as no surprise when Maria Ho selected Olivier Busquet for the first representative in these heads-up matches. And obviously that's paying off for Maria and the LA Sunset. But again, anything can happen in these matches. We've only seen one sweep of the four matches we've seen so far. Obviously, Randy Liu getting lucky and playing great against the Moscow Wolverine, Sergei Lebedov. So Olivier Busquet has a chance to be the second person to sweep a heads-up match and get a full 9 points for the LA Sunset.
Yeah, I agree. Darren Elias, now in a position, he's a competitive guy. I know that he'll want to get 3 points on the board and make a contribution towards the Sao Paulo Metropolitans league position. Let's go over to the lounge and see Laura and Eric, where they'll have some more information on where that leaves us in the standings.
Thank you, Sam. Thank you, Griffin. I kind of felt a bit sorry for Darren Elias there of the Sao Paulo Mets.
Very rough way to lose that hand and to lose that match, or that game, sorry. So they're down 2-0, which means that the match itself will go, no matter what happens in this third game, to LA. So LA does get that win, and we mentioned earlier, the wins will be the first tiebreakers, should there be tiebreakers. So it is important to win the matches. Obviously, the 9 points it's still 3 more points at stake. LA now moves into a tie with Montreal in third place in the standings. So they've already set that up, and they could be ranked first overall by the end of this match. Sao Paulo suddenly still sitting on 4 points after good performances by Darren Elias. It's really critical now that they get those 3 points to not get too far away from the lead group.
Now we keep talking about the incredible caliber of, the heads-up play from Busquet. Do you think he's going to do it again?
I think he's by far favored. I assume that BetStars had him favored as a big favorite in this match, and I don't see that necessarily changing. To be fair, Darren Elias has played very well, so it's not an issue of Darren Elias not playing well. When you're of the caliber of Busquet and you're hitting hands like a 4 flush, that's really tough to beat. It's almost impossible to beat a guy like that. And very complimentary was Darren Elias saying that in every situation he knows that his opponent probably knows exactly what to do, because again, a lot of people have mentioned this, our commentators mentioned this, that Olivier is one of the people that wrote the book on how to play heads-up poker online. So
you think Elias has read the book?
I think Elias will read the book after tonight. He might get an autographed copy of the book.
He was maybe cramming it in earlier before the match started.
He'll have to find a way to have to get 4 cards to hit a flush on the flop or on every street. So that might be a little hard to teach, but he's gonna need that in that third match.
So 3 points available per heads-up match. That's how it works. 9 points available per pairing. So as we said, LA Sunset weren't doing that well after the 6 max in which Fedor Holz played on Tuesday. They had a couple points though, which was better than the San Francisco Rush, who ended the day with 0, and also the Berlin Bears, which ended the day with 0 as well.
I really think that there's a lot of pressure on Elias here, not just because of where they stand and where they are in the standings, where Sao Paulo lies in the standings, but it's also a matter of pride. You don't want to put that goose egg, the 0 out of 9 points on the board. You want to show your teammates that you're into this, and it's not to say that he's not. Again, the competition is very tough here, but I really do think this could do a lot for not only Elias, but for Sao Paulo, for the country of Brazil. I think those 3 points are very much necessary. Curious to see Olivier Busquet, who is one of the best heads-up players in the world, said that winning that first match really took a lot of pressure off of him. So it was curious to get inside the mind of Busquet, knowing or admitting that that match really, set himself straight. And that's almost something that I mentioned, that it was very dangerous, or him winning that match made him extremely dangerous to win all 3 matches, because Busquet's confidence level must be through the roof now. He probably doesn't think he can lose a hand after that final hand.
After Busquet, who do you think is kind of second best heads-up player in the Americas Conference?
Oh, I really don't.
Too tough to call.
I'm not getting to that one.
You don't want to offend anyone.
That's very tough to answer. I assume someone like Jason Mercier, who's had so much experience winning so many tournaments, he's had so much experience in that situation. But that's a tough question, Nora.
Sorry.
I'll have to study.
I put him
all
on the
weekend.
spot, didn't I?
That's good. I like it.
Well, Jason Mercier isn't playing this week, but he will be playing next week.
The
So
rumor
I've
is,
heard on the grapevine.
That's right. Unofficially, we might have another epic matchup for you next week. Maybe a little Mercier Galfond action. We'll have to confirm that.
Yeah, that'll be good. Right, that next match is coming up very, very soon. I'm going to head back now to Griffin and Sam. This is it. This is the last match between Olivier Busquet and Darren Elias.
Thanks as always, Laura. I'm Griffin Benger. This is Sam Grafton. We're about to head into our third match of the first set of heads-up matches here between Olivier Busquet and the very talented Darren Elias. The fanboy in me just hearing them talk about all these different players, Phil Galfond, Jason Mercier. I mean, we haven't even seen these guys play yet. How many players total have we seen here? Maybe 20, 25, and there's 72 of the best players in the world. So as a poker fanboy, I'm just reminded sometimes, like, oh my God, we haven't even seen Galfond. We haven't even seen Mercier. We haven't even seen Mustafa Kinet. Where's Vanessa Selps? No Liv Barry yet. There's so many exciting players to watch in the Global Poker League, and so far, it's just awesome.
Yeah, it's really exciting. And now this match, Olivier Busquet in a commanding position, but I know Darren Elias, even though he's a professional and will know that the card distribution is greatly favoured Olivier Busquet, he'll be desperate for professional pride to grab 3 points for the Sao Paulo Metropolitans.
It's helpful.
You can expect a king on the turn here for Olivier. Oh, not this time.
This is like one of those spots. He's just going to barrel. I'm just going to fold.
A lot of pot control-y turn checks from Darren Elias.
Hope he doesn't have a 10.
I feel like I've proven my willingness to call in these spots. I mean, I bet all my 9s and my 10s. It's like so annoying. It's like the strongest hand that I check. Don't make me do this again.
Wow.
Whoa.
I mean,
Calls out.
Okay. Cool.
Bit of a cautious check back there by Darren. Maybe rushing his decision there. It can really, affect your confidence when you're running bad and stuff. And I think that was an example of it. Obviously, it's a very, very, very small mistake. But as Olivier mentioned, he bets all of his 9s and 10s there, so that should be a value bet from Darren Elias. And just a little bit of a miss there, I think.
yeah, of course. I guess perhaps there's a slight. I mean, I can barely say this when we're talking about a man of Darren Elias' caliber, but perhaps there's a little bit of an intimidation factor.
Yeah.
Perhaps he thinks that Olivier Busquet has a very well-constructed check-raise range here,
Exactly,
and he's
that's a
worried
really
about
good point.
betting his hand and then getting blown off it. As you say, running bad does factor into that, and also the scrutiny. This is probably
His willingness to just barrel with whatever last time when the board was paired and then I don't know. I don't know if that's so relevant.
I was going to say, Darren Elias has achieved so much in the game, but this is probably the first time he's ever played heads up with his whole cards exposed to the world.
His c-bet percentage is a little bit high here.
Tough spot here for Darren Elias, flopping best, but especially not having a diamond in his hand, it's going to make it difficult for some runouts.
Except for this time, clearly. All right, so he called here. Oh man, I'm not in love with this spot. It's like if he has like 2 diamonds in his hand. I don't know.
This is a really tough spot for Darren Elias, obviously.
Depends what it is, I guess.
I mean, he has to call the turn, I think.
Well, the whole problem is Darren Elias is going to be drawing dead against an 8.
And he just called with like ace high or something.
It's an intimidation thing like you were mentioning before.
Yeah, but Darren continues with all his diamond draws. He continues with ace high. I mean, the second flush draw turns. Seems to me that he's got to at least get to the river with this combination. I mean, admittedly, having a 6 in your hand doesn't really help, but I don't know.
I'm gonna have to watch all these matches over again so I can hear the commentary.
Olivier Busquet, eager to hear you and me's insight. That's what a professional is.
Blessed with this commentary. These guys are funny, energetic, analytical, smart.
Flattery will get you everywhere.
Yeah, jeez.
I mean, this is annoying.
And that is especially annoying for Olivier here.
It's because I have like almost all my kings when this 9 turns. So I guess that means I should fold my 3s. I don't know if
also probably calls ace high though.
Willing to bluff rivers, multi-bet pots.
I just realized Darren Elias kind of looks like Chris Evans, who plays Captain America. So it's just like an interesting balance of 2 caps here. I don't know why. That's just something I'm thinking about. Got some really good-looking people here in the GPL.
And now a very thin value bet from Darren Elias.
First time for everything.
How is that blind level over already? Are we not playing fast enough?
Looks like Darren's going to 3-bet this combo.
Yeah, okay. That's good.
Simple jack in the muck.
Does not want to go down 3-0. I actually feel like Darren probably doesn't tilt very much.
There's a very thin line between tilt
I doubt he would in this context.
and letting running bad, affect your play for sure. I mean, I think that Darren is still
watching
playing
he's
fine.
Just seen that I've just made every hand.
But again, like some of his maybe shying away from a few value bets and some calls, it probably comes from the fact that he just feels like Olivier is just unbeatable with the way things have been going so far for him.
Yeah, and I agree. I mean, you and me know from the scrutiny we've been under over the last 3 days, doing something in front of a camera is very, very different from going about your normal business as a professional player, a poker player playing in the comfort of your own home. Obviously,
I mean, I live my whole life like life was in front of the camera, to be honest with you.
But it's going to make you double, the fact that this is going out to your peers and the rest of the world.
I want to check raise so badly, but this just doesn't make sense to pick this hand, but it's like, I don't even know if he would bet that many of his aces. I think he might just check the turn with aces and then bet the river. I'm not going to call with queen 7, though. Ah, man. I'm just too tempted.
Olivier Busquet now putting on a bit of a show for us, I think.
Really, I don't know why I did this. He's going to call. Oh, okay. Well, yeah, maybe I was right.
Liv B obviously showing his class there with a pretty talented check raise. I mean, obviously, we know that he had the best hand, but that ended up working out for him.
Wouldn't always 3-bet this, but he seems to not want to play 3-bet blinds.
Such confidence, and that's another thing that comes from having won the first 2 matches. Now you can take perhaps more slightly high variance spots, feel more comfortable knowing that you've already locked up the win for your team.
3-betting a bit more, but you can't really tell that, these people just get hands. I feel comfortable, I don't want to I feel good.
And Darren decided to 3-bet there. His intention, absolutely in that hand, is to 3-bet to 5-bet all in. Again, he wants to up the variance against Liv B because of how good he is in this heads-up format.
Up in 10 seconds. I wonder if people are going to start trying to time these blinds. It's not really my style, but try to get on the button for the blind change.
Well, Liv B showing that, these online guys think about every possible edge. He's there talking about perhaps timing your fold.
So what are we at?
Get
We're
the
at 3-6 and I have
up.
50,000. All right. So yeah, this is my size. Just 4-bet fold. That's like the best spot ever. Best situation ever with that hand, I think. Or maybe just 4-bet call, ace queen. Seems better. All right, 4-8, yeah.
This is another situation where Darren could decide to do it again.
Dynamic.
I actually spend a decent amount of time talking to myself when I play. And it's almost like now I've forgotten that there's a lot of people watching and listening.
This is going to be really interesting in particular because
Right,
Olivier we talked about earlier
No,
about
it's gonna be kind of annoying.
deciding whether or not to 4-bet some spots with an ace. He decides to defend with the ace-4 here.
Besides the deuce, that's about as much as we can ask for.
This is such an annoying spot. It's not even that small of a bet either.
Discipline fold there by Olivier Busquet.
I'm playing too tight now. Alright, yeah, I like that spot. Let's do this. Right back at you, boss.
3-bets. These guys trading 3-bets almost like they're in an MMA ring. The warring back and forth. And
Uh-oh.
We could 4-bet. I don't really think he wants to play this game, though.
some old school leveling here, Griff.
Yeah.
More likely he just has it, I think.
You can see how overwhelming it is playing an opponent like Olivier Busquet. Just the mental gymnastics that you have to get through.
It's important to pick up on those things, I think. It's hard to do, but really felt like he sensed something. And it was just he didn't have the kind of exactly right kind of hand, but
he's absolutely right, and he actually did have the hand, but again, a little gun shy maybe
also,
because of the way the match has been going.
It's just a hand I like to 3-bet. It wasn't all game flow. So what I mean, I'm just going to do it again. It's the same hand. It's just a hand I like to do this with. Especially against a guy who's not really calling as much.
This one will be.
Okay. Well, this seems like a pretty clear check. A good card, and also a check. Terrible card, atrocious card. God. Just check, Darren. Have oh wow, he checked a hand that can't win. I'm a little surprised by that. And 8-9 just beats 10 jack. That's how I run.
Good to get to see his hand there.
Yeah, interesting
Not
stuff there.
fully. Maybe on the river, but
Darren might think that I'm a big calling station. That's why he's not trying to. He's just trying to make a hand and get me to call.
Yeah, that was something I remarked on earlier. Is
You might
how
be right,
much
too. That's a good
that snap call with third pair I think has really affected Darren Elias' ability to bluff on rivers because he thinks that he's always getting called. So really interesting how that has now sort of called back to the dynamic here.
Yeah, two big flops here.
Oh wow, Darren folded a 5 on that board. Sick. Okay, hopefully this is a card that will freeze him. Freeze in your tracks, buddy. And it's nice, like even if I miss, it's a hand that has good enough showdown value that I can just check and I'll win sometimes. Check. Just chill, Darren. Oh, you have a queen. Wow. Queen 9. All right.
So again, a lot of hardcore poker fans are going to know this, but just to reiterate for those a bit newer to this, you can see that Olivier Busquet 3-betting there the 8-9 and then checking set and compare. This is what a lot of the very best players are doing. They construct a checking range as well as just, back in the day, obviously we always saw people continuation betting every single hand in their range. Here, Olivier taking a medium strength hand and checking it to Darren because he knows when he bets, Darren's just going to fold all the hands that are worse than the 8.
Yeah, and also
It's not a good card for you to bluff.
the power of delayed continuation bets too. Olivier obviously remarking earlier about how sometimes he'll just delay with like a no equity hand to rep showdown value by checking the flop and not inflating a pot when you're basically drawing dead.
This board texture, I don't know if I really should call down here. Or call 1-bet, I mean. Seems clearly like a check.
You can see Darren looking off to the side there, and he probably has a laptop
Just
reviewing
chill,
the
man.
hands and
Well,
seeing how Olivier's been playing.
This feels like my kicker might be good enough, but like, what does that mean? He's got ace-2, ace-3, ace-4. I don't feel like he'll bluff here that much, so I should probably go for... Like, I'm repping at 7, but I actually have value that's not... Oh, okay, whatever. That's all relevant. It's just all these samples. It's just like, King Jack or something. It's just like this.
Great that
Maybe I should
Olivier's
check that ace.
giving us insight into his thought process. Said there, of course, that perhaps even like when he's playing by himself, he talks through the hands in much the same manner anyway. So I guess it comes pretty naturally to him.
One feature that we've added here, guys, to the GPL heads-up matches and for the 6-max matches is the ability to pause the action when there's an all-in. So I think that's a feature that we're going to try to use here, maybe in the next all-in, and we'll be able to analyze, what they need to hit and really kind of build the drama for that big run out.
I hope you're in charge of that button, Griff.
You know what? Actually, I am. It's my doom switch, so I can do it pretty much whenever I want. And,
All right, good luck with that.
I'm like the Flash. I can just like completely manipulate time. It's great.
All right. There you go. You heard it here first. Another technical thing that could possibly go wrong live on the GPL.
But yeah, I think part of the reason why I want to warn the viewers is also because I imagine that this is not necessarily something that Olivier and Darren are anticipating. So at first they might be like, "Whoa, why is it taking so long?" And they're just gonna have to suck it up.
So
Big pot.
Olivier getting to the river with just ace
I
high.
lose it.
Darren obviously flopped the full house. Had Olivier drawing dead all the way. Certainly would have been awful for Olivier if a 5 came on the river. Darren's going to
Definitely a hand that I think Darren's going to value bet.
Yeah, Darren's going to be value betting here, and seems unlikely Olivier will call, but let's see what happens.
Yeah, the problem with the first 4 cards out here is that there were no flush draws, so it eliminates a lot of the combos that Darren might be betting with.
There is a flush draw there, mate.
Oh, sorry, 2 diamonds.
No,
you're right.
just take a look. Do you need
We
my,
need it.
do
No,
you
we
want me
need.
to borrow my
First of all, I
glasses?
do need my glasses. Second of all, we should definitely consider the 4-card deck with things like that.
Good hand, man. Oh, okay. Still have over 40K.
Olivier not used to not making the best hand in this contest.
Yeah.
6-12. Okay.
Olivier definitely noticing that the longer time they take between streets, it's going to increase the blind levels faster, and that's definitely something that he talked about how he doesn't think he's going to be timing blinds and that sort of thing, but that's something that he should definitely take into consideration moving forward, especially if he thinks that his edge is in the earlier stages of the tournament.
7 deuce.
Good flop for Darren Elias, double gutter. 2 ways he can make the straight, obviously, with the 7 or jack.
Kind of want to check raise here too.
If you're just joining us, this is the Global Poker League.
Second pairs,
This is the 3rd match between Darren Elias and Olivier Busquet, 2 players with incredible pedigree. At the moment, as you can see in the top left-hand of your corner, Olivier Busquet won the first 2 matches, representing LA Sunset, and now Darren Elias trying to claw back respectability, winning the 3rd match for the Sao Paulo Metropolitans.
All right, let's do it.
Darren, again, maybe taking the slightly more conservative option. Perhaps yesterday, similar strategy to Elke, who we saw yesterday playing a slightly tighter strategy against Dan Jungleman Cates because of Jungleman's experience in that format. Olivier Busquet, coming from a heads-up background, that's where he learnt his poker craft, built his poker reputation initially, lots of success since then, of course. So he really is the favourite in this format, but Darren Elias will be competitive and would love to take down this 3rd match.
Guys, if you're just joining us again, this is day 3 of the Global Poker League.
What you doing, Darren?
And it's really an awesome match here between Busquet and I just realized the redundancy there, but pardon me. I may have gone to take a leak or something like that. So. These are long days here at the Global Poker League. Thanks, Sam, for covering for me there.
Putting our bladders under pressure in the Global Poker League.
Okay. Got it.
Olivier considering the 4-bet again there with the blocker, but thinking better of it.
I think this might be the first time that actually Darren's really had the lead in any of these matches, it feels like. Like he had 70K at any point. I really don't think so. And that's not necessarily a reflection of a completely dominating performance by Liv B. Again, these edges are really small despite the fact that he is one of the best, if not the best heads-up player in the world. But just Darren really running bad in these matches. And it's really unfortunate so far for what's been going on.
It's a lot harder to win, guys, when you don't make very strong hands all the time.
Yep.
Pro tip.
Olivier Busquet reaffirming what we said there, recognizing, he's a
Interesting. This is a board that I just go off on. Just FYI.
Recognizing that he's had the better of the card distribution, made the stronger hands, and that goes a long way to, that's a big reason for his success so far against Darren Elias. Again, Busquet missing the board, and that was not something we saw too often in the first 2 matches.
Oh, he checked back there, huh?
This is going to be a really interesting turn card,
there's just so many,
given their hands.
I don't know if this is really... I don't know, man.
I think he's going to check raise Busquet. Interesting, he doesn't bet the gut
turn,
shot.
Yeah, given the texture. Wow, really interesting in there, the thought process. That's a hand that I feel like I'm always going to see to the river, but again, obviously Olivier knows a lot better than me, and that's interesting that he decides to dodge that bullet.
We're at 8-16. Oh, wow. It's no joke. Okay, let's make sure we don't hit callbacks and move that over to the fold button. Don't want to look silly and call with 4-2. Even though it's suited, it's kind of tempting. All right, so this is an all-in. Don't be trapping me. Just
Sure.
Darren Elias really going to want to make the most of this commanding position. Double the amount of chips of Olivier. He's going to want to close this out.
Yeah. Okay.
Both players getting a piece of the board.
Good card.
Actually, this is a combo we're going to see Darren Elias bluff with a
Check
lot,
it though.
I would imagine.
Still prefer check from you, buddy. Okay. Oh man, this is too easy. Whew. I mean, even though he's going to check and be afraid of the ace anyway, he might be a little suspicious of me betting because it's 4 to a straight, you know? Or he might just try to rep it himself, which would be dope. Should I just call? I mean, it seems silly. I mean, if he has 3-6, like, good luck, right? Is jamming just too obvious? I think jamming is too obvious. I don't think you really need a large raise. Just like, if he's trying to value bet thin with 2 pair, he might get away with it from a jam, but what's the min raise? The min raise is 11-2, so we're going to do like 15-2.
So hard to make a straight in poker and in heads up, especially the fact that they both have it. It's really, really interesting.
Could have 3-6.
All right. Pretty anticlimactic. Both pretty excited about that card. Whoa there. There's jamming, huh? Open jam, like 20 bigs. Not recommended.
Yeah, that's something that's definitely like an MTT
I don't care
thing.
if you have 3s.
Yeah, he should be probably limp shoving maybe, I think.
I do not think that's how I play it.
He said he thought Darren had 3s, which
Which is completely wrong because he obviously had deuces.
yeah, way out, Olivier.
Yeah, did you
Up your game.
Yeah.
Do some study.
Unbelievable.
I mean, I don't know. They're just... I feel like it might be better to check in bet the river. Not that river. I mean, I'm just gonna bet small. I don't even really ever do this, but it seems like it could work here for some reason.
Really interesting decision with this particular combination of Darren Elias's. Obviously a bad run out for the 9-8 suited, but he is being offered a good price.
Too good, man. This guy's too good.
Nice call from Darren Elias.
I don't like trying to bet that river. It's just, it's dumb. And it's 1-2K now. Man.
Darren Elias
Sweet.
flexing his muscles there and his
go.
hand reading ability, really showing why he's such a world-class player. And again, in my top 5 tournament poker players in the world, definitely overshadowed in this particular format by Olivier Busquet, but really showing what he's capable of there.
I thought you said being in your top 5 was going to overshadow his WPT Player of the Year title. I'm sure he'll be over the moon to hear
How
that.
about you guys out there? What are your top 5s?
Here we go. All in.
Whoa.
Darren Elias flopping a lot of outs.
Oh, man, that's so many.
Have you just paused it on this river?
Good game.
Griffin
3 points.
River comes a heart. Darren Elias picking up 3 points for the Sao Paulo Metropolitans. Great stuff from both players.
Yeah, absolutely. Darren squeaking out those 3 points for Sao Paulo. Really, really important, given that he obviously doesn't want to have to deal with a sweep
Good
and
game,
go
man.
back to his friends.
One of the features we do want to have is to allow players to talk to each other when the match ends. That's something that Al
What'd you call it on day one? Teething process? I still love that, by the way.
Our technical team backstage are going to be working on. That's something that we will have going forward in the GPL. Great game there, though, Griffin. Really exciting. Two top poker minds, Olivier Busquet coming out on top, but Darren Elias showing what a class poker player he is there, winning the third match in pretty comfortable style.
Yeah, and an amazing bounce back performance from Darren. Obviously, you know, card distribution-wise, things were not going his way in those first two matches. And, of course, Olivier showing how good he can be, especially when he's making hands. But that's a great thing that makes Darren so special, is that in a situation where, you know, things aren't going his way, he doesn't panic. Maybe he plays a little more gun-shy because he doesn't want to have to trust his reads when he's losing. And in spots like, for instance, the 5-6 offsuit, where we saw him fold the turn and you thought, oh, maybe you think you should call. But it's one of those situations where he just thought maybe he was getting 3 barrels from him. Obviously, Olivier Busquet can improve. He decided to find better spots. And again, an incredible call with the 9-8, and then getting lucky there with the ace-5 suited is exactly what the doctor ordered. I think the Brazilian contingency should be extremely thrilled by the fact that they even got those 3 points against someone like Liv B.
Yeah, the Brazilian contingent are going to be thrilled to have Darren Elias representing the Sao Paulo Metropolitans, one of the superstars in the game from North America. Liv B, Olivier Busquet, showing his pedigree here. And I think what it shows is Maria Ho's savviness in making him her second-round draft pick. I think Maria Ho there, when she picks Olivier Busquet, although he is one of the superstars of the game, she's actually picked him because of his background, his theoretical knowledge of these kind of heads-up, sit-and-go formats, and he showed today why he's going to be so dangerous and going to be accumulating so many points in the GPL season going forward.
And you know what? It gives us commentators hope that, you know, Maria Ho deciding to draft a commentator, obviously, Olivier doing the coverage for the WPT with those Alpha 8s. So there's hope for us yet in future seasons. Once we get sacked and replaced by Negreanu, you know, we have a shot.
She's
and
been
I'm
bombarding
for
me
that.
on Facebook to be the wild card, but I'm staying loyal to you, Griffin.
I really appreciate that. I said
Maria,
it was probably going to be a celebrity.
Maria, stop messaging me.
Anyways, guys, that was the first match of the day, or first 3 matches of the day, obviously, between those two opponents. Olivier Busquet taking 2 of 3 against Darren Elias. And again, both showed in different ways what makes them so strong and what made them slam dunk picks for the Sao Paulo Metropolitans and the LA Sunset. We're going to be having another match coming up relatively soon. We are going to go on a bit of a break. But first, we're going to throw it to the lounge and catch up with Eric Danny and, of course, the wonderful Laura Cornelius.
That's it. Throw in a few more wonderfuls, beautiful, lovely. We like that. Thank you very much, Griffin and Sam. I'm kind of happy there Darren Elias managed to pick up some points. I shouldn't say that to Maria Ho, LA Sunset, or Olivier Busquet, but Busquet was running very well, and it just, you know, he kind of deserved to pick up some cards there.
You got the sense that Busquet was also happy for his fellow competitor that he got to pick up 3 points there. He really did feel bad that he was catching all the hands, but I mean, Elias gets that very important 3 points. I think the Sao Paulo team will be happy to collect at least one. And this was a tough matchup for Elias. It'll be a tough matchup for any player in the league playing Busquet. I think when you think about it, 3 points is actually a very good thing for the Sao Paulo Mets. 6 points or 9 points would have been a bonus, but I think winning one of these 3 games, they'll be very satisfied with that. I think Andre Akari will be happy about Elias' performance, which was very good, a solid performance.
Just about to bring up Andre Akari, obviously the manager for the Sao Paulo Mets, but not deciding to play for the team himself. He was one of only 2 managers out of the whole league, so there's 12 obviously in the league, that decided not to play themselves and pick themselves as a wild card. Why do you think that was?
I think it wasn't strategic, because I do think that Andre does consider himself to be one of the top players, that would have been the top players on that team. It was, I think, a matter of the heart. I think he wanted the 2 players, Bauer and Ramos, to play on the team. I think there was maybe a heart's hurt when Ramos was not drafted in the GPL draft. On draft day, he was expected to be their first round pick, and it was a major shock when Darren Elias went first. Although Elias had expressed that he wanted to play for the Sao Paulo team, Elias does spend a lot of time in Brazil when he's when he's playing online poker, since he's not allowed to play in his native USA for now. So I think Elias was actually a logical choice when looking or backtracking. I think Kaverman was sort of a surprise, but at the time, Kaverman, the #1 ranked player in the world, how can you overlook him?
Yeah.
I do think that there's a synergy between Akari
Because where
and
was Sao
Kaverman.
Paulo to pick? They were in the middle somewhere, right?
Yeah, they were in the middle, and I really don't remember. I could not tell you. In the middle is
like
somewhere.
that. But they were lucky that Byron was still available at that point, I think.
Of course. And I do think they couldn't pass up on him. I do think that Akari wanted the Brazilian feel for his team as well. It could have been him, but really in Bauer and in Felipe Ramos, two solid selections. Akari mentioned that in his video when he announced the wildcards that he hopes to play in season 2, maybe season 3. But for now, he thought as a manager, the good decision was to add these two players. Bauer, if you're not aware of him, a monster online player, and great results live as well. And Felipe Ramos, a bit more Mojave, a bit more popular, a bit more known. Being Neymar's great friend, helps out a lot, of course. But I do think that was a pick of the heart. And not to say that he's not a good player, but a pick where the whole nation was happy that Felipe was part of that team as well.
Hey, season 2, we could see Neymar or even Ronaldo as a wild card for the Brazil team.
Or both.
Or both.
Or Cristiano Ronaldo as well.
Yeah. Right, let's take a look at the updated America's standings now after that first heads-up match. New York Rounders still on top with the Las Vegas Moneymakers, both 10 points each.
That's it. It's interesting to see how it racks up. Rounders and Moneymakers still in for now. Both teams have yet to play today. Montreal Nationals, of course, at 9 points. LA Sunset now tied with the Nationals. The Nationals do hold that tiebreaker in the sense that they have only played twice. So that's the reason that you see them ranked ahead of the LA Sunset at the moment. Montreal Nationals next on deck with Martin Jakobsen representing the team. LA, as we mentioned, picking up a big 6 points here. They were really down in the barrels, and so was Sao Paulo. So really two big match wins there for Maria Ho's team. She'll be happy with that. Suddenly tied with Montreal, and should things not go well for Montreal at the end of the day, they will be officially tied in 3rd place with the Nationals. And then, of course, Sao Paulo picking up those important 3 points. And now the San Francisco Rush are 7 points away from 5th, Laura. 7 points away from 5th. They need to win all 3 matches tonight in order to be in that top 4. So really, the standings are already very tight.
No pressure, Anton Wig. No pressure at all.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of pressure.
I think there's a lot of pressure.
Not to mention he's playing. The number 2 and number 3 ranked Swedes in the world are playing each other.
The world champion.
That's right. He's playing the world champion.
Just Martin Jakobsen.
Yeah, it's going to be a tough matchup. They've both been having so much fun with it. Both been playing around with it. As you can see, as you mentioned earlier, the great Anton Wig getting ready for his match.
Yeah, Anton Wig getting ready for his match earlier on Twitter. I think we've got a video to show you. So let's take a look. He's getting ready to play the match. Well, we'll take a look in a sec when it's ready. I think it's going to be ready very soon. There it is. Anton Wig preparing.
So the Battle of the Swedes.
Interesting that Faraz Jaka, team manager, is with Anton Wig at the moment. You know, Laura, I get excited when I hear beetroot juices. You know me and my juices. So excited to see what combination of beetroot juices there was there. Maybe straight beet to really get the iron in the team going.
Some sort of special brew going on to
not surprising when it comes to Faraz Jaka. He likes those special brews, and he's a very healthy guy. So it's not surprising to see him making sure that his lead horse tonight.
What do we think Martin Jakobsen's been eating to prepare?
Knowing Martin Jakobsen's diet, very much the same, right? Vegetarian and vegan.
Another tweet from Doc Ober. Run good much, Olivier Busquet. Winky face. Great matches to watch, though, at GPL. Indeed, they were.
Busquet mentioned in that 3rd match that he wasn't getting the cards, and he said it's a much easier process to become a world-class player when you do get the cards, and when you don't, it's hard to win hands, even if you're the best, one of the best heads-up players like he is.
Thank you, Marlon Santana, for that tweet.
That's a new one.
And we have a new one. Sorry, the new one is from Marlon Santana. I had a bit of a brain freeze there. Olivier Busquet just said he is such a fish while crushing the Heads Up GPL. I wonder if that makes me a jellyfish or a seaweed. Lol.
Marlon, I will say jellyfish if that makes you.
I'll go with the seaweed. I think I'm probably, or what's even scummier than seaweed?
Dirt. We are dirt. We are
I'll
dirt
just be
from
a bit
the sea.
of dirty sand, I think. And then let's take another look. This originally from Remco. Tuned in for a bit of GPL action, and it's already way more intense hearing Darren Elias and Olivier Busquet talk a bit and see their faces. Doc Ober then responds, a really great format and extremely entertaining and interesting to watch. Looking forward to the entire season.
A long season ahead.
It is a long season ahead, yeah, indeed. 8 months to go. obviously a mix of online and live poker coming your way. So let's take a look at some tweets about the next match coming up. This is about the Battle of the Swedes. This is tweeted from the San Francisco Rush. First 6 marks in the books. Looking forward to Thursday with Anton Wigg and Battle of the Swedes. We're bigging this one up, aren't we?
That's right.
Also from San Francisco Rush, Anton Wigg is in for a Battle of the Swedes. Montreal Nationals' Martin Jakobsen. Do you accept the challenge?
We need to mention that came last week when the teams were still deciding who their first lineups were.
Indeed. Martin Jakobsen from the Montreal Nationals. Let's do it. And Wigg responds, are you sure you're ready, Martin? My form goes something like this.
That's a tornado, I think.
I couldn't really see what it was, to be honest.
On fleek.
Oh, and look at this. Martin Jakobsen, I'm ready to let history repeat itself. So what do we have there, Eric?
That is a result from a EPT side event from a few years back where Jakobsen and Wigg finished 1-2. You'll notice that Mr. Jakobsen made sure to note that he finished first in that event.
Yeah.
So the Battle of the Swedes has already happened. It's round 2 tonight.
So I wonder, in fact, how many times they've played. Anton Wigg also saying, ha ha ha, you should know that you can't live on old merits, champ. Hashtag gloves are off.
The Swedes are going at it.
They're really going at each
They're
other,
going
aren't
at
they? And Fabrice Soulier, manager of the Paris Aviators. From my experience in poker and medias, I can easily say that GPL poker streamings are set to be the best poker content ever produced.
It's a
No pressure.
Fun comment from Fabrice Soulier. Getting back to our 2 Swedes, it's sort of funny that the Battle of the Swedes that are really going at it are green juice drinking men. So, the new wave of the new generation of our
As
poker
are you,
players, right?
Mr. Danny.
That's right. The new generation of healthy poker players, dominating
Does
the GPL.
green juice actually make you a better poker player?
Oh, absolutely. Definitely.
We've seen a massive...
Let's not get into that because
Yeah,
it can
we'll
go
be
3
here a
hours.
while.
But absolutely, I think focus-wise and just feeling better about yourself. I think Jakobsen is a perfect example that he, for that main event run, he did set up as an athlete and didn't go into that main event knowing he'd be playing for so many hours. So
We can talk about his preparation for the main event a little bit more in the pre-show before we actually see the Battle of the Swedes, because there's quite a lot to talk about there, isn't there, in terms of like how much he actually prepared for that main event final table.
No, for sure. I mean, it wasn't just the eating side; it was meditation and exercise and so many other things. There really is a revolution. Again, we'll get into it later, but there's a revolution. The old days of the casino holding a back table with cigarette smoke and cigar smoke and eating bad food, that's really gone
A
the
thing
way
of the
bird.
past, for sure.
Yeah, absolutely.
Coming up later on then, as we keep going on about it, Battle of the Swedes, it's kicking off at 3:30 p.m. Eastern Time. That is coming up pretty soon, and we're going to have a little pre-show, talk it up before that comes on as well. Coming up after the Battle of the Swedes, the final match of the evening will be the Las Vegas Moneymakers, Anthony Zeno, playing against
The New York Rounder.
the New York
Big
Rounders,
Cheese,
the Big
Tom
Cheese,
Marchese.
Tom Marchese. How could I forget that? There it is, Tom Marchese versus Anthony Zeno. That one's coming up 3 p.m. Pacific Time, 6 p.m. Eastern Time, and 12 a.m. Central European Time. But as we said, the next one's the Battle of the Swedes. Join us back here very, very shortly for that.